So I'm here with Mr. Scott Kelley, correct?
Yes,
And you served for the
Navy.
Navy during
The very tail end of Vietnam.
Vietnam. What was your duties in Vietnam?
Oh, the events?
Or what did you? I mean, what was your job? I guess. Yeah, describe.
With the Navy, it's kind of complicated. I was aboard a guided missile destroyer escort, 414 feet long. It was a Brook class, 240 personnel. I was a sonar technician. The ship is primarily an anti-submarine ship.
Okay.
Now, that was back during the Cold War. And one of our major duties, like when we escorted a carrier, in those days, the Russians, the USSR then, they always tried to keep at least one submarine within shooting distance of our carriers. In case war broke out, they wanted to get that thing sunk immediately.
Yeah.
One reason being that the aircraft, and also they had nuclear weapons, all those carriers could add to the ICBMs and other weaponry in case the big one broke out. And our job was to harass them endlessly. And our sonar was so loud that a swimmer in the water within 300 feet of the sonar dome would actually, no, not hear it.
They'd feel it.
The pressure wave was so strong that it would ruin their internal organs and kill them.
Oh my God.
Ships in Vietnam, when they were bringing cargo ships in, they would, like through the night, to keep swimmers from coming out and attaching mines to the vessels, they would turn on the sonar to kill any swimmers coming out. And you never heard of any ships being sunk that way.
Yeah.
But I did shore patrol duties. I was a damage control person. That took a lot of work.
Yeah.
Ship security, I was part of the ship's repel boarders team. They had so many jobs piled on.
Everyone wore a ton of hats, I assume, in that, especially in that engagement, especially the guys I've talked to. It seems like everyone was a jack of all trades. It wasn't, okay, this is your one job. It was, oh my God, we need you for this. Oh wait, by the way, we need you for this. That's just kind of how it went.
Always something to do.
Yeah. So did you get drafted?
No.
No. You enlisted?
I went in shortly after they started the all-volunteer. I was 17, and there was a recession going on. The old man had told me at 18, you know where the front door is. An adult makes his own way in his world. Don't let it hit you in the ass.
Yeah.
Brought up working poor class. I had basically two options: hit the streets, hope for the best, or military.
Yeah.
So I went in at 17. That was exciting.
Yeah. Eye opener.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Strange times.
Yeah. So what'd you do after you retired?
I didn't retire.
Oh, I mean, you were you stayed in for 20 years?
No. I lasted 3 years, and society was different then, and the military. Vietnam really affected the military. Before we went overseas, we had about 15 guys got fed up with the 16, 17 hour a day work days. They had an apartment off base. They went out there and they basically went on strike, refused to work.
Yeah.
And they were so desperate for people that, they used the phone. Well, the FBI was there, San Diego police, they had U.S. Marshals there.
Oh, wow.
I mean, technically, it was mutiny.
Yeah, because you didn't go back, you didn't report once you're,
and they were refusing it. No, we're not going. But they were so desperate for people that over the phone, the captain agreed, okay, we'll just pretend. You come back, go to work. We'll pretend like this never happened. Oh, okay.
And they
were haters, and they came back.
Yeah, wow.
So then we headed for Vietnam. We were one of the first ships there for the end of that.
The end?
We had our orders. Well, for one thing, our ship was considered expendable. They would never send a capital ship, a big, like a carrier or a cruiser. They sent us our orders head for Saigon, assist the South Vietnamese in repelling. They estimated 60,000 regular NV-8 North Vietnamese Army troops. 60,000? Heading up the Saigon River, they put the repel borders team. They warned us, watch out for satchel charges. They call them sappers, because of just thousands of little boats, refugees coming down that river, and we're going up this way, and the river got narrower and narrower. And I was a machine gunner, had the M60 machine gun. And we're watching that tree line, because that's usually where they would attack you from. We were about 2/3 of the way when the orders came down. Nope, we are not going to defend. It was a suicide mission.
Yeah.
You know, someone probably woke up. Gee, maybe we were not send 240 guys to face 60,000.
Yeah, I know.
You know, they spun that ship around and got the hell out of there.
Yeah.
And then we escorted some refugee ships to the Subic Bay Navy base in the Philippines, and we snuck in Cameron Bay at 2 o'clock in the morning. We inserted a SEAL team. They had enough C4 plastic explosive to level half of Springfield.
Wow.
Them gutsy monsters.
Oh, God, I bet.
They rode off in that little rubber raft. Well, Intel told us, they said they believed that there was a division, 10,000 or so NVA, that's North Vietnamese Army, with a battery of howitzers. Them howitzers, our little ship didn't have armor. We were built for speed. It would have blown us out. But we snuck in there like mice real quiet. And them guys rode. I stayed up. I wanted to watch this.
Yeah.
They rode off into the darkness. We never went back and picked them up. I hope they got the heck out of there. I could find nothing on the web about that event.
Whatever happened after. Well, I guarantee you it doesn't exist. Yeah.
But then we left there, and do you remember the Mayaguez incident?
I've heard about it. I don't think
an American flagged freighter.
Yeah.
Okay. Hijacked by the Khmer Rouge, the Cambodians. They told us, get your butts over there. And it made us mad. We wanted to save those guys. And then we heard, the Marines came in and they were being mowed down. You got to follow orders. Well, they took our hospital corpsman. They sent him on by helicopter. Our ship had a helicopter. They sent him down to help out with the wounded. They put us about 20 miles north to go back and forth to prevent any reinforcements
from coming
from mainland Cambodia. But we had the tactical net, the radio, and we could hear them going on, the this and that, and blah, 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 blah. And they lost about 40 guys altogether.
Wow. Did
you know that 3 of them were left behind? They found out years later. They know that 2 of them were tortured to death.
That's awful.
And we wanted to go. If all they had to do was say, we would have grabbed our rifle.
Oh, I know you guys would have.
But then some historians say that was the final evolution of the Vietnam conflict, that Mayaguez thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Hold on. So what'd you do after you got out?
I walked around in a daze. I tried to go back the junior college thing. About a month, I hate to sound like some damn, you read it, you hear it, but it was true. I wasn't in the rice paddies.
Yeah.
But still, I did 2 tours. They called it a Westpac. About 10 months over there in Asian waters. I made 2 of them, and I don't know. It was a strange
time.
And I ended up. They were desperate for truck drivers. For $2,200, you could put a down payment on a semi truck. They taught you how to teach it, how to hook up to a trailer. The company owned the trailers, you own the tractor. That just sends more money to them. You learn the hard way about economic reality. Then I went long haul trucking, and I saw 46 of the 48 states.
Wow.
That there was an eye opener as
I
well.
bet.
Long haul trucking. You lived in your truck.
Yeah.
130,000 miles a year.
Jesus.
I saw the Rust Belt, and it got worse every year. And the displaced workers, jobs sent overseas. It was a migration.
Mm-hmm.
You read about how the Okies back during the Dust Bowl of the Great Depression, they made the history books, but where's the writing about the tens, the hundreds of thousands of displaced whole families living in their cars seeking something better?
Yeah. It's probably because a lot of those companies that did it are still around today, and they don't want it to be history.
That could be.
You know what I mean? Because the Dust Bowl, that's the environment, that's the world. That they are the ones that did that. But the Rust Bowl organizations,
Rust Bowl, yeah.
Rust Belt.
No, but Rust Bowl sounds
Rust
good,
Bowl.
yeah.
That organizations, they did that. You know what I mean? And at least their business model did that. I wouldn't say that it was a good individually, making one shot call, but at the same time, you're like,
the higher ups in the corporations made them decisions, but yet when it comes time to defend the corporate overseas business interests, they call upon the commoners to go over there and risk their life and lose their life to defend that. But the children of that class aren't over there doing it.
No, God, no. They're the ones protected. Haves and haves not, man.
Hey, you're interviewing vets.
Uh-huh.
What I'm saying, do you hear that a lot?
Every week. I was talking to somebody about it, and I said, this thing has been, I think you're my 8th one I've done. And my stepfather was in, and he went through 4 engagements. He was in Desert Storm, then he was in Afghanistan and Iraq, first a Marine, then he went career in the Army, and he went through, and he still is, PTSD, and it's been a long road. He's good now, but for a while it was tough. And my grandfather, World War II, and I was the only one that he would talk to about it, and it never gets easier. It's always, and I chose a different path. I didn't have to go through the military, but I feel like I want to be the person that reminds everyone, you cannot forget about this. Just because nobody's talking about it, do not forget about this, because what happened in the 40s and 50s repeated in the 70s and repeated in the 2000s, and it's just going to keep happening. So last week, one of the guys from the ROTC program made a very, very good point. And he said, look, the thing that you can do to help me when I come back is to remember that I did not have a choice, that it was my job. No matter what you hear, no matter what you feel, understand that as a person, this was not my choice. I was following orders. And that is true for the guys that were in World War II, World War I, Vietnam, Korean War, so on and so forth, every single individual. And I think as a whole, when we were talking about, the social mob of people, they forget that. They think that they need to remember that every individual guy that served for this country didn't have a choice. Like in your case, it was either go live on the streets or go into the military. You had to make that choice. Once you did that, you had to follow orders. End of story. And that to me is it's honorable, more honorable than anything else you hear. But the thing that makes me sick is that a lot of people forget about that, and people need to be reminded of that constantly. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do, I think. I didn't really start out that way. I think I started out just to be, I want to thank as many veterans as I can. But now that it's kind of snowballed, and every guy that I've talked to, and every story is different, but it's always the same feeling. You know what I mean? And even if it was the most like straight arrow guy, you could see it in his eyes. You know what I mean? And at least I'm trying to understand it. But I think now that's been my main push, is to remind people. You got to remember, these guys, A, are the most honorable people that we have in this country, and B, they did not have a choice.
What is your thought or impression. I'm sure you've confronted this. I see it like on web message boards a lot. Well, what are they bitching for? They volunteered. I get so angry.
That's the thing. It's like I said, when you were 17, what was your choice? Go live on the streets and either become a criminal, get in shady shit, or get lucky, or create your own path and try to make something out of it. Everyone does that. And in the late 70s and the mid 70s, the choices weren't the same as they are now. We're lucky that now because of guys like you and our grandfathers and so forth, that we have more choices. Back then there was 5 jobs that you could take. You know what I mean? Really. You could be a farmer, you could be a sales guy, you could be a mechanic, you could be in the military, or you could be a criminal. Because the military and police force and that stuff go hand in hand, I think. I'm just trying to be as broad. But now there's so many different opportunities you have as an individual to be, and I'm just talking about men here, that I think that was my biggest thing from my father instilled in me, was that he believed that he would be behind me in anything and everything I choose to do, because he knew that I was more than capable of being the one that would force my way in. And I proved him right. But at the same time, I think that as the generations got more and more, the fathers have been trying to do that to their sons, and it really wasn't like that for a long time. It was, this is the way I did it, so this is the way you're going to do it. You know what I mean? So
times have changed, though.
They do, and they're continuing to change. Well, thank you so much for your service, and thank you for doing this interview, and happy Veterans Day.